beat the crap out of him in front of that school. On top of him, just going, scratching, punching. It was crazy.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael, he's Daniel, and you're all in luck because we got a lot to get to. Daniel, where should we begin?
You know where we should start? My skin. I was out at a football game yesterday, and I feel like I'm bronzed. Like, look at how, like, I'm tanned. I feel like there's a glow to my face. I don't know if that's me being a proud dad because my son had a killer football game yesterday. Chael, the amount of tackles this young man made and scored a touchdown for the first time since he was 7 years old. Chael, I am glowing right now. Look at my face, Chael.
You look beautiful. I can see it.
Thank you. It's like a proud dad Monday.
I can see it. By the way, he plays defense. How do you get the touchdown? I'm assuming an interception or a fumble?
He plays them both. So he plays fullback on offense. He plays linebacker on defense. But the fullback is not what we remember. The fullback is not the great fullbacks of the past. The fullback is almost like a running back because there is no running back. He's like standing next to the quarterback. So, yeah, it was a fun game. And we won for the first time this year. So that was also very, very nice. We don't win very much on this team right now. Chill. I think we need to get right to it, man. Let's go with the good guy, bad guy, BS meter right now. Let's not get into all this other stuff. You've allowed for me to brag about my son again, which I do every week. But let's get to the BS meter. Retired or not, your favorite guy, my favorite guy, Jon Jones, was at the VMA's red carpet last night. He doubled down, said that he's training 5 days a week, and he's back in the UFC testing pool. BS or no BS?
The problem, BS. I mean, listen, here's the problem with it. Nothing has slipped out on Instagram. Nobody is claiming to work out with Jon Jones. No one's claiming they saw Jon Jones work out. And most importantly, nobody's saying that they're the trainer. He's got a mythical trainer at a gym yet to be identified working out with bodies who have never been named. I just think that's a lot. I mean, if he came out here to Oregon and we saw him in the gym, there'd be a line and people would want autographs and it would be a really big deal. And I just have a hard time. By the way, it gets a little confusing if Jon says that he's back and he was never injured, he was never ill, he just didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. That's the part to me that's a little bit weird. Like he's playing this as though that retirement never happened as opposed to this is a comeback. If you're coming back, what are you coming back for? What is it that you're coming back to? And is it just an open slate to admit anything, anyone, except that guy over there in England, anybody but him? Is that how we're supposed to interpret this?
Well, there's a real chance. Look, Chael, I am hard on Jon Jones a lot. Let me tell you why. He's the gambler, right? He's playing the game. If it is to be thought that he doesn't want to fight just Tom Aspinall, now that Tom Aspinall is on the books, there's no way that he's fighting Tom Aspinall right now, right? Tom has to fight. They can't. The pressure of everybody going, fight Tom, fight Tom, fight Tom, that's relieved because Aspinall has a date and an opponent locked in. But if you say you're back, say that opponent gets by Aspinall, now you could say, I was already back before Aspinall even, right, lost the belt. I was here. I was there to fight. He just had a fight. So I was going to wait for the winner. Dude, it's genius, Chael. It's actually genius because the guy Aspinall's fighting is a guy you beat already. And if the guy wins, now he go, hey, I've been back for months. This guy just lost. The guy that you said was supposed to beat me, he got beat. So now I'm here to reclaim my throne.
There's something to what you're saying. And, Jon has made a very similar argument before. I'll give you an example. But when Dominic Reyes beat Jon but lost the decision, Dominic Reyes then lost his very next fight. And I remember Jon coming out and he was sticking that in everybody's face. And he was saying, guys, it's not quite as easy as I made it look. I had 6 title defenses. You guys all sat at home and thought that was easy. But now you're finding out to get it up time and time again for the same prize that you've already won is a little more difficult than you gave me credit. And in fairness, it was one of the most honest statements Jon has ever made. And I remembered all these years later, And I do look at it, and I do look at it different. And he's right. Doing this stuff is hard. And Ciryl Gane is not a perfect matchup for Tom Aspinall. I mean, there are ways that the talk of the town after that fight is Jon Jones, not Ciryl or Tom Aspinall. I feel a lot of pressure there.
That is, when he says that, for him, that's Jon Jones pulling back the curtain and telling you the exact truth. That's not Jon Jones, the character. That's Jon Jones telling you it is not easy. It is not easy to do what he has done, to fight the most dangerous person every single time and get up every time to beat that person, Chael. He's legitimately beaten the very best guy every time. When Glover Teixeira won 18 fights in a row, they said, stick him in there with Jon Jones. He beat him. When I was undefeated, won 15 in a row, stick him in there with Jon Jones. He beat me. Everybody that was the best, or at least perceived to be the best, he had to fight them, and he vanquished them all. So he was just telling you the God honest truth. This ain't easy. So watching those guys lose after they fight me, it doesn't surprise him, because guess what, Chael? It's always easy to get up for the ultimate prize, right? It's easy to get up when you're challenging for the first time, when you can sniff the gold. It gets harder whenever you have the belt and you're like, I'm living this life. I've defended this thing multiple times. I got the money. I got the fame. It's harder whenever you lose that title fight and you go back and you fight a guy, it just don't seem as important. That's why those guys get beaten. Jon Jones is like, hey, I went through all that and I still got it done. So yes, I like that from him.
All right, I want another question. I want to move on, but I do want to acknowledge, I really like the way you said, stick him in there with Jon Jones. There was something to the way you said that was like poetry. Stick him in there with Jon Jones. That'll teach him. Stick him in there with Jon Jones.
Everybody can beat him, right? Like, hey, like I told you, when the White House, Tom Aspinall's so bad, stick him in there with Jon Jones. Let's see how it turns out. All right, Jill. Wrong answers only. If Jon Jones is back, who's he training with? What's he working on? Chael, will he return to the octagon? And if so, who will he fight? Wrong answers only, remember.
Well, if Jon Jones is back training, I truly believe that it's with his brothers. And so I don't know if that's a wrong answer only. It has to be somebody that will keep their mouth shut, because the location, the trainer, and the workout partners has never slipped out. I mean, in a world where everybody's got social media, where everybody's got a phone right at their fingertips, wherever and whoever Jon is training with, put their phone down, because there is absolutely no proof that he has broken a sweat in well over a year.
I watched Jon Jones train, or I watched a Jon Jones clip, and the only time I saw Jon Jones in said clip was Gable Steveson training, but Jon looked like he was watching and coaching. It didn't look like he was actually working out with Gable Steveson. All right, Chael, here's another one. Tyson versus Mayweather. Fun fact, they are a combined 107 years old right now. Is this fight really happening?
It's hard to call it a fight, and the boxing world has pulled some spoofs lately, but they have to let the audience in on the gag. Like for betting and gambling reasons, even the commission's oversight, you have to let the audience in on the gag, and you can do that real simple. You just have to throw out the word exhibition.
I hate
but
that.
These guys haven't used that word yet. They used the word fight, and they spelled it F-I-T-E, and I don't know that that has a different meaning or that they're not just illiterate in the first place, but they haven't said that it's an exhibition. So is some kind of a contest between these two knuckleheads who will do about anything for money going to happen? Yeah, I assume it is. And Mayweather will train in his gym with Tank Davis and the rest of the boys, and Mike is probably going to hit mitts with Coach Cardero, the same as he did for his last one. I don't think that Mike is going to spar. I offered to spar with Mike Tyson, but I had a caveat, which was I'll spar and I'll be a good partner, but when we're done, I'm going to come back and tell Daniel, and I'm going to talk about it on Good Guy, Bad Guy. Mike didn't understand that I actually had good intentions and wanted to be part of it. He took it as though I was challenging him to a fight, and I wasn't. I wasn't at all. I'm just saying that in case Mike sees this, I was genuinely offering to come in and be one of his workout partners. But the way the story was told to me when that offer got turned down is there were no workout partners. He just did the mitts.
Well, that it seems like it, because they have very good rhythm together to make him look like at 59 years old, he could still compete at that level. When in reality, it doesn't matter who you are. At 59 years old, chill, guys can barely wrestle in the WWE at 58, right? They barely can get through a match, and that's scripted. So to think that you can box at this age is very difficult. You know what I said the other day, chill? The moment I heard this, and I want you to tell me if you agree. The one thing we promise people when we sign that contract, right, is violence. The one reason people turn in to watch fighting is violence or the idea that we will give them violence. From the olden days all the way back to the Coliseum, bullfighting, gladiators, everything, and all the reasons people went back, right? When men were wearing those skirts with the white skirt and the thing with the hats, they wanted to see somebody get stabbed or get eaten by a tiger or whatever it was they were doing. We promise violence. People watch to see violence. When it's an exhibition, when you almost tell us exactly that you're not going to give us that, why or how do you expect people to tune in? And you can't even promise pay-per-view anymore, chill. They're putting these fights on Netflix now.
Sure.
It's like, what are you giving to Netflix? Outside of, people will watch it because it is a train wreck. And we like train wrecks. But we tend to promise violence, chill. Every Saturday, UFC guys walk in there, there's a real good chance you're going to see something violent that you can go back to work and talk about to people. What if you can't give that? How do you expect people to tap into it?
Sure. You have a sport, and a sport is pretty easily defined where you have two guys that are trying to win within the time constraints. That's it. And if you say exhibition, which means we're not trying to win, I will just tell you that I, as a viewer, get a little bit confused.
Absolutely. So why are they fighting?
Well, I would imagine just for the money. I don't know who put this together. Like this is one fight where generally the promoter and the promotion and the organization, WBC, IBF, IBO, is right out in front. In this particular one, all they've done so far is drop a poster, but all of those words and all of those acronyms were curiously removed.
Chill. So these guys seem to be doing fine with money. I saw Mayweather just put loads of money into a garbage bag the other day. I'd imagine Mike Tyson made a boatload of money to fight Jake Paul last year. It cannot just be money, chill. And Tyson also started the marijuana business that's killing it. One of the biggest ones in the country. I don't get why this is happening. And I think that is probably what's the most ridiculous thing to me. I thought the other day when I saw Tank Davis, is it Gervonta Davis that's going to fight Jake Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is the most ridiculous thing boxing can do. A guy who weighed 134 the last time, fighting a man that walked into the ring over 200 pounds. And then I get this. It's like, you think you've reached the limit of ridiculousness? And then I get this. Joe, you said Tyson didn't want to spar. He only hit pads. So the question becomes, you're fighting Floyd Mayweather. He might be the greatest boxer of all time. Do you spar? And if so, who's that sparring partner? For a legitimate middleweight, who's the sparring partner?
And I must tell you, to have a big fight, there has to be a big discrepancy within results, meaning, one guy really gets pulled down or the other guy's career can really boom. And I do feel like this has that. If Mike Tyson was to lose to Floyd Mayweather, and don't forget, they both live in Las Vegas. I mean, we're not just talking about the best fighter in the world. We're talking about the most respected guy in a city in the desert called Las Vegas. It is really apparent that Mike Tyson gets the jump on him. But that's not guaranteed to happen. It's not guaranteed. Floyd's not exactly boxing well, but he is giving up some size. He's been pretty good at stick and move. I mean, there just seems like a lot on it. The entire idea and mystique of Mike Tyson does go out the window if he can't beat a 135-pounder. And I'm not positive that he can. It's a somewhat interesting exhibition.
I think the funniest thing about the last fight, it was Roy Jones Jr. watching Mike fight Jake Paul, and he goes, he has no legs. He's like, he has no legs. So, it's so bad because I don't want to disrespect Mike. I love Mike. But, do you notice that as we age, we kind of start to almost bend our knees? Older people walk with almost like a bend in their knees. Mike's knees, in the very beginning, he was long, he was tall, he's bouncing. And then by the second and third round, he started having that little bend in his knees. So it made him noticeably shorter, and he just couldn't move. So his body was moving like this, but his legs weren't going anywhere. And the whole time Roy's going, he has no legs. I'm like, well, Roy, I'm looking at his legs. They're just not working. He has legs. They just aren't working right now, Roy. It was bad, man. And I just hope I don't have to see him like that again, especially with Floyd.
Yeah, because Floyd's coming to win. I mean, Floyd is going to try to stick and move and just outpoint him. Like Floyd is coming for whatever reputation or idea of the mystique of Mike Tyson still has. Floyd's looking to take it from him. I mean, this is something where Mike, if he shows up, had better be able to protect himself at all times. Because whether we call it an exhibition or not, these guys are going to know. They're going to know and they're going to feel it. And for that reason alone, a true competitor is going to want to get his hand raised.
And Mayweather doesn't want to lose. He's 50 and he's Olympic gold medalist. He doesn't lose. He's not going out there to like make it look competitive against Mike Tyson. So.
Olympic bronze medal. Did you say gold?
I thought he won the gold.
No, he got a bronze. They thought it was a bit of a screw job, but he officially got the bronze.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't think Floyd lost. Okay, hey, Ilia Topuria said that he would knock out Terrence Crawford in boxing. He goes, I won't talk about what would happen between me and Bud in an octagon. I'll talk about what would happen in a boxing ring. I put him to sleep in the first contact. Chael, BS or no? Wrong answers only, remember.
I think Ilia knocks him out. And you know what? I'll tell you this about Bud Crawford. When you talk about true tough guys, like forget the rules. If push came to shove, real tough guys, Terrence is easily the most dangerous all-around boxer of my lifetime. I mean, he's got a wrestling past from Nebraska. Jake Ellenberger said that Terrence's mom, because it was a single mom situation, the mom used to pay some street kids $20. Hey, go beat that kid up. And it was her own son. And she'd send 2 and 3 guys in on him. She'd pay out $60 to 3 and go beat him up. And they're like, well, how bad do you want it? She's like, as bad as you can make it. Go beat that kid up. And this is how she toughened him up. And now she's in the corner wearing the Louis Vuitton. He's in the ring wearing the gold belt that says world champion. But Terrence Crawford is not to be played with, but neither is Ilia Topuria.
No, Ilia is not to be played with, but boy, that Terrence Crawford is something else, man. Let me tell you something. I've known Bud for a long time. And those lessons that he learned in wrestling, they apply because, Chael, every one of those tournaments, those youth tournaments, he's there with his boys, and they're good, Chael. They're very, very good. You know, that's like not as uncommon as you would think. You know, where when you're getting your butt kicked, especially in those neighborhoods where you go to tell your mom, she might make you go fight. It's happened to me before. One time, my brother, I was getting fought by these older guys when I got into high school as a freshman, and they were following me home, right, across the street from the school. My brother saw it, and I was thinking to myself, thank God he's about to save me. He's my older brother. I was like, thank God, they're not going to fight me in front of my older brother. I get to my brother, and I go, hey, man, I go, these dudes trying to fight with me. They want to jump me. He goes, jump you? Not going to happen. But they are going to fight you. So who's going to be the one to fight him? And he made me fight him. Chael, he made me go back and fight the one that wanted to fight me.
How'd it go?
I got his ass, Chael. I got it, Chael. Let me tell you, you know what the biggest issue is? You know what the biggest issue was when they started to get me when I was a freshman? Hey, they did not know how to wrestle, Chael. They just didn't know how to wrestle. And with the wrestling, it became a real problem for them. I would just throw them to the ground. While I wasn't great on the mat yet, I was good enough to beat a street kid from Lafayette, Louisiana, who then, Chael, all of them joined the wrestling team. They're like, wait, if Daniel could do that, we need to learn wrestling. But yeah.
You were out recruiting. It turned into a recruiting mission. Good job. You grew the team. Coach owes you a thank you.
You know, beat the crap out of him in front of that school. On top of him just going, ah, scratching, punching. It was crazy. Hey, it backfired on one of my friends, though. It backfired on one of my friends. His mom said, no, you're going to go fight him. And he got beat so bad. I felt so horrible for him. He didn't wrestle. He quit. He quit after the first year. He should have stayed on the team.
That's a tough spot. That's a cultural thing. Like, that's a mentality. My mom would have broken the whole thing up. But my dad probably would have let it play out. So
yeah, let's see where this goes. Yeah, that's a cultural thing. That's hey, those kids that don't have caroling on Christmas morning. Yeah, we grow up in those types of situations. Okay, all right, Chael, man, you're so funny. UFC Paris, man, What a fight card. 9 TKOs are knockouts, 11 finishes in 13 fights. Chael, the first 7 were stoppages. Chael, talk about hot crowds, right? WWE was at Paris last week also, and the crowd was fantastic. They were loud, they were having fun, and the same thing happened to the UFC. That propels the fighters. If you're in a crowd and you want to see good fights, just be a great crowd. The fighters hear it. They fight harder, and we saw that in Paris. How good was that fight card, Chael?
It was incredible, not to mention, what does it do at the very top of the bill? I mean, does this change who our number one contender is? Do we just show all the respect to Imavov, or now all of a sudden do we start to give a real good look to Fluffy Hernandez and RDR? The card did not go as it was expected to go. I mean, the handicappers out there lost a lot of money on this. We had a lot of upsets. There was one guy that came from behind. Aiden Ross had picked a fight or put $90,000 on it publicly, where he shows the ticket with himself in the view. And I'm just saying, like, everything was going great until the 3rd round when the guy flipped the script and ends up getting a TKO. It was a lot of fun, but it definitely was a very disruptive card. It was very disruptive to the rankings and to the future plans of the year. I mean that all in a good way. There's nothing you can give an audience better than give the audience what they want, but not what they're expecting. And I think that's how I would sum up the Paris card in a sentence.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome fight card. Everybody fought so hard and truly did their thing. But ultimately, it was about Imavov, right? It was Imavov's opportunity to solidify himself as the number one contender. You and I spoke about this last week. We talked about being second, right? Because you know exactly what you have to do to really impress people and say, that's the guy I need to fight Khamzat. After last weekend, dominant performance over Borralho. Was it enough, though, Chael? Was it enough for you to say, I don't care what happens in Vancouver. I know that I saw the number one contender last weekend in Paris?
Yeah, yes, I do think so. I really do. Kyle Borralho had so much steam on him, and you never asked me for a prediction last week, and I kind of danced around it. But if you were to ask me, I would have said Kyle Borralho, and just the way that Imavov did beat him, and then that MMA math, where you take Imanov's last loss and you take that back to Sean Strickland at the Apex. Like, there was just a lot of things that didn't add up. There was just a lot of things that didn't go the way that the experts were expecting, and I thought that was very dominant. I thought that the controlling of pace, not to mention the ability to defend the fight from ever going to the ground by Imavov. I think he showed a lot more in that fight than just the ability to get over on Kyle. I thought he showed some real well-rounded maturity.
Yeah, he did. He's getting better at every turn, but I don't know that was enough for me. Because if Fluffy Hernandez looks like he did last time, or if Reinier de Ridder puts Fluffy out, I'll be like, okay, this is the guy. It's that what you can remember type of mentality. And I share it with most fans, where it's like, what do I remember easier? And normally it's the last thing that I saw, right? It's like, I know that Gable Steveson is probably a much better wrestler than Wyatt Hendrickson. But the last thing I remember is Wyatt Hendrickson beating him at the NCAA tournament. So now I think, oh man, Gable blew it. But still, Wyatt Hendrickson is the guy that's going to the world championships and trying to become a world champ. So it's like you start to remember what you saw last. It doesn't matter that Gable teched him 2 years ago. But I remember last time they came together, he got beat. And I think that one of those guys in Vancouver has an opportunity to truly hammer home the idea that it's their chance, no one else's. And I got to see it happen. But yes, Imavov looked fantastic. Imavov looks like a guy that truly can challenge Khamzat Chimaev in some areas that we didn't see with Dricus du Plessis. But I don't know if it was enough. I don't know that it was enough. Can I ask you one more question, though? Before we get to the Fighting Nerds, because I don't want to like make the fight. I don't want to take too many shots at the Fighting Nerds because they started really well. And truly, as the competition elevates, there will be fights that you lose. Remember, they were like 28-0 at one point. That's insane that they were able to get to that number. But as the competition raises, obviously you will lose. The Fighting Nerds, are they all hype is what I'm told to ask, because they got to the top contenders and they didn't get it done. Borralho lost And also, Mauricio Hufi got beat by Benoit Saint-Denis, and what Benoit Saint-Denis was his greatest performance of all time. Very reminiscent of Dustin Poirier with the aggressive takedown approach, but this time he was able to submit him. So do you feel like it was all hype, or is this just a natural way of fighting where it just gets harder, and when it gets harder, people lose fights?
Sure. No, it's that one. The nerds are not hype. The nerds are awesome. Daniel, there used to be a time where the heavyweight champion of the world, Jack Johnson, for example, he could hold that belt for 10, 11, 15 years. Now, people used to watch Jack Johnson's fights by huddling around a transistor radio. The only way you could see the action is if you had a ticket and were in the building. There was no television. There was no closed caption. There was no pay-per-view of any kind. It wasn't distributed. And the only reason I say that is once you start breaking down film, once all of a sudden your fight gets out and some of our top trainers and coaches and our top analysts, the you and I's of the world, start breaking a guy down, his reign all of a sudden becomes a lot shorter. And I think one thing that the fighting nerds did, I think their skills are very legit. I think what they've done from a team and from a marketing standpoint is very legit, and they will eventually have their champion. But everybody's now watching them. They don't get to come under the radar anymore. So when you have Rufy or you have Kyle Borralho, I mean, these guys are studied and restudied and studied a little bit more. And there is always an advantage to coming in under the radar. But you have a lot more fun if you're a little more bombastic and come over the top. So they made their choice. They had some fun. Now they hit some rocks in the road. But I do believe they're as good as advertised, and I do believe that'll smooth back out.
Yeah, and it's all just about like who they're fighting. I mean, Borralho just lost to Imavov, who's ranked like number 1 or 2. Ian Gary beat Carlos Prates. He's number 6 in the world. And Benoit Saint-Denis is in the top 12 in the world, and he just beat Mauricio Hufi. So it happens. I think what this proves, though, is reality versus perception. Kyle Borralho is their leader, right? By all intents and purposes, that's the guy that leads the charge for that team. Jon Jones, George St. Pierre, those guys were the leaders of Jackson's MMA. So it made Jackson's MMA feel like the greatest gym of all time because they didn't lose, right? It was the ones that were out there fighting in the biggest fights, they didn't lose. Cain Velasquez, myself, Luke Rockhold, Khabib, we didn't lose. So it always felt like AKA was so viable, when in reality, there were guys losing constantly, but the biggest name guys weren't. So it made it feel like we were just kind of rolling. So they just have to win the big ones. Because if Kyle Borralho would have won that fight last weekend, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's just because he did. Now, John Silva fights next weekend at Noche UFC. He gets beat by Diego Lopez. Now, Chael, we got to start looking at it a little different going, because ultimately you do have to win some of the big ones, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's like no room for error. They've got to get back on the horse, but they do have a very unique fighting style. Like a number of the guys that came from the AK, I could use you and Kane, but even Josh Thompson and Koscheck would fall into that a little bit, where there was some real similarities. If you want to go break down and figure out what Islam's going to do, you could also throw in a tape of Khabib. It's going to give you a pretty good idea. And I think the nerds, look, I'm not down on the nerds at all. I'm really not. I think they came to us with one of the great marketing plans. I think that they're a real team. They adopted and recruited one guy, but all the rest of them were homegrown right there in Brazil, and they were all from the same neighborhood, and they came up and they did this together. Their coaches aren't in there for a bunch of money or accolades. They're in there to see the neighborhood and that area rise all the way to the top, which in this case is the UFC. I'm not down on them at all, but there systematically is a few problems. I mean, if you wanted me to point to one, they're pretty good with the punches and the kicks, and they're awfully dangerous with the jiu-jitsu. The in-between, it's that wrestling in between. Who decides if it's on a feet? Who decides if it's on the ground? A lot of times that is the opponent. And if you wanted to give a good critique or maybe some advice to the nerds, focus a little bit more on wrestling, because choosing what realm that fight in from 1993 to right now is still the most important thing one can do.
And if John Silva goes out there and does what he's been doing to Diego Lopez, it'll all be fine. Everybody will be fine with the fighting nerds. So I don't think it's time to everybody jump off the ship yet. Those guys are fine. They've got a great, young, exciting team, and I think it'll be all good. But Benoit Saint-Denis was so overlooked in this fight against Mauricio Hufi. Hoofy's got the spinning kicks. He's got the great striking. He knocks you out. What he did to King Green was crazy. He looked like a Brazilian Conor McGregor when Conor McGregor was winning. And hats off to Conor. Once again, all that flash, but he had so much substance, right? Once again, you get a guy like, people start saying, he's like Conor, and then he gets beat. Benoit Saint-Denis gets the biggest one of his career, goes out there and he says, I want either Armand or I want Mateusz Gamrot. Who you in for? What do you want to see happen with Benoit Saint-Denis? Because the one time he got an opportunity to fight at the very top when he called out Poirier, Dustin got him. Then he got beat by Moicano. What's next for BSD?
I like the idea of Gamrot. I don't hate the idea of waiting and taking on the winner in Hooker's next contest. That just got announced last week. Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan. I don't hate that kind of a thing for Saint Denis. Listen, he was well on his way. He flies out to Miami on somewhat short notice. He takes on Dustin Poirier, which turned out to be a harder fight than it was supposed to be. And that's where things kind of started to unravel. Then Saint Denis, like any other athlete, begins to question himself. When you question yourself, that starts to affect your result. But you can also straighten that plane out, and you can start going back up again. And that's where I see Saint Denis. I see him climbing his way back up. And I don't think to eliminate names like Hooker or Tsarukyan, I think that those names are okay. I realize that's a little high, and we're shooting a little bit high for the stars, but I think that's what he should be shooting for. If you get Gamrot's name drawn out of the hat, then you got to fight Gamrot. But that's not the kind of guy that you go after. If they call you and that's the fight, fine. But you don't go after that. That poster is not quite the same as being on there with Tsarukyan or Dan Hooker.
Absolutely. And it's like, especially now that Gamrot got beat by Hooker last, so even the winning isn't as big. And it's a hard night. You know it's a hard night with Gamrot.
Gamrot's good, man.
He's good. And he's going to make you wrestle, and you're going to go hard. And yeah.
Do you know he was fifth? He was fifth in the Europeans in freestyle back in his wrestling day?
Liar.
No, Gamrot got fifth.
Wow. Then Gamrot's a really good wrestler.
He's real good.
Yeah, he's a real good wrestler. All right, Jill. Paul Craig retired after he got beat versus Modestas Bukauskas. 17-10-1. Only man to beat Magomed Ankalaev. What will you remember about Paul Craig?
I will remember not only that he beat Ankalaev, but I also remember the night that he beat Jamal Hill. It was just an incredible thing, and I happened to get to be there live. When they went to the ground, it was like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructional. Like Eddie Bravo doesn't put out instructionals that have better technique from one setup to the next to the rotation as Paul Craig had that night. I remember watching him, and it was this thing that was almost scary. And when the whole thing's said and done, Jamal's arm and at his elbow, it's broken. He had never tasted defeat before. He turns that around and talking about Jamal now, comes all the way back to a world championship. So we know that Paul Craig has those skills, and I think that they were very elite. If his career is done, I only have, I would say thank you to him. I only have positive thoughts of his memory. I thought that he was a darn good fighter, and he was also somebody that took on anybody at any time. He covered the spread over multiple weight classes. You and I have done that, but we also know you get very little credit, and it's a really hard thing to do. So, Paul Craig, you're getting credit from us over here at Good Guy, Bad Guy. We saw you.
Yep. Congratulations to Paul Craig on a great career. Hey, man, not many people get to do it at this level for as long as Paul Craig got to do it. And I also credit him for recognizing, hey, man, I lost some of the best fighters in the world. But when I start losing to the younger guys, it's time for me to hit the door. That most people don't get that, Chill. They don't recognize it might be over. I love that Paul Craig recognizes that, and he walks away. Hey, our boy Tom Aspinall, heavyweight champion, was also in Paris. He was getting booed, Chael. He was getting booed. He's trolled Jon Jones in the past. It seems like he's trying to lean a little bit more into being a bad guy, but he's a sweetheart of a human being. Can you buy Tom Aspinall, the bad guy?
No, and I was a little bit surprised that he came off that way. That's not his first time coming to Paris, picking a fight with Ciryl Gane. Yeah. Ciryl Gane was in the cage one night on a free TV. Tom's sitting there. Tom had laid out this whole round robin, and here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to take on Ciryl if he wins, of which in this case he did. The winner of us draws in to the world title with Jon Jones. Like Tom had laid out a plan, and everyone else is looking around going, well, we don't have any other plan. We might as well go with that one. And Paris was rather welcoming to him, even though he was there picking on their own. Paris had Surreal's back. I mean,
Yeah.
Surreal somewhere has won this audience over. I did not take it as a commentary against Tom Aspinall. I took it as very supportive for that home crowd to be behind their guy in Surreal Gone. I didn't know Paris had it in him. Excuse me. I didn't know Paris had that kind of energy in him. I really admired the support they were showing.
Yeah, they love Cyril, man. He's their guy, and he could be the first French UFC champion if he can get the job done this time against Tom Aspinall. Big time fight, hard fight though, very hard fight for both guys. Chill, it's over, bro. Show's done. Now I get to go enjoy breakfast. You know what breakfast is? So it's the berries, it's the bacon,
Ooh.
and it's that nice flaky croissant from Costco. Bro, have you had the croissant from Costco?
Yes. What do you put on your croissant? Did you put butter? Do you put a little jelly? What do you put on there?
I don't know what they did at Costco, but they've made it to the point, Chael, where you don't need butter.
Wow.
Have you not had them? Have you had? And they also have one with some chocolate in it.
Yeah, I've had the one with the chocolate in it. My daughter microwaves it and she eats that. I'm just saying, if I was in your shoes and those were my items, I would eat the berries on the side, but I would take the bacon, I would smash it in between the croissant and I'd roll it up. I'd have a little bacon and croissant in each bite. That's how I would do it.
So that my daughters eat the bacon croissant with the berries. My son, it's eggs, cheese, bacon in the croissant.
Nice.
I heard that people put mayonnaise in their like bacon, egg, and cheese, like bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich.
Sounds good.
Would you put mayonnaise in that?
Yes, Burger King's the only place that'll do it for you, but if you request it, if you request that they add mayonnaise, they'll do it. And then all of a sudden it turns the sausage and egg sandwich. It feels more like lunchtime. It feels more like an actual sandwich.
Jeez, mayonnaise, nasty, disgusting mayonnaise. Hey, Chael, you know how you said like your mom making you fight someone is a cultural thing?
Yeah.
Mayonnaise is a cultural thing.
I knew it was.
Mayonnaise is a cultural thing.
I felt set up when you asked me. I knew it was.
All right, guys. For Chael Son and I'm Daniel Cormier. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace. Cultural thing.